So, my name is Alessandro. Ciao. I'm from Italy, long-time Magento developer, and I'm here to talk to you about some Magento best practices. Maybe some of you knows me as Aleron75. I'm the guy behind some of these projects. I'm a very proud member of Magento community. I work in Bitbull, which is, as John mentioned above, a great supporter of Mage Titans. We're a fast-growing Italian commerce tech company. And interestingly enough, my most successful project is the one that took me the least effort, and is the "Hey, did you just edit the code" T-shirt that I put some of you. So I'm considering switching from programming to business seriously. Yeah. Well, these are more or less the topics that I cover in the book I published in June, but I have not much time. So we will focus only on some of that, and I choose to tell you a story. Story taken from the real world of some code which had to be refactored for reasons that we will see. And these are some of the practices that I applied while refactoring this code. And well, this is all things that I learned from my mentors. I used, as Ken Beck says, good habits. Ken Beck says, I'm just a good programmer with great habits. Joe Spolsky says, use the best tools money can buy. And we're fortunate because nowadays we can use a lot of open source free tools for free. So I use some tools to test code, profile code. I used Magento Runtime. I didn't touch the code where I found it. I grabbed it out of it. I put it in a Magento Runtime script and validate my changes. And after that, I put the code back in place. And last but not least, I applied the great teaching from Vinay Kaur, our mentor. That is that of writing scalable code. And as Vinay does, he gives advices that are valid in general. So this is not only valid in Magento. So this is a real story. What we will see is a real code that runs on production on a Magento Enterprise, whose intent is that of displaying a navigation menu, customized navigation menu. So it's a very small piece of code. And you will see what this small piece of code was capable of. Well, don't focus on what the code does, because this has no meaning outside of the context. And by context, I mean the category structure. So let's focus on how this code does something. As you see, I have spotted in red some code smells. I leave you some seconds to collect your word of facts. And okay, let's spot the worst smells. You see, we have, well, the purpose of the first block is that of identifying a precise category. And to do this, the developer decided to do an iteration over the first child of the root category, assuming that that child will be the only child from now on, and that's fragile. Because as soon as store manager added the second category to the root category, this code breaks the menu in production. Okay. Other than that, there are a lot of loads in loops that are useless, can be avoided, and we will see how. These loads in loops doesn't allow to scale. By scale, we mean that our code is not prepared to get more visits and more entities, so it's very important to write scalable. Here is the second chunk. This is the Y chunk. I mean, there are strange things in this code. There is a variable initialization here, the category, which is never used in the code. So here we have a variable initialized with a load in a loop, which is never used. And what's more, we have a load on a collection, which clearly is useless because collection loading in Magento is lazy, so you don't have to load collection unless you are in particular circumstances. Clearly, the developer didn't know this. So before seeing how this code could have been written, let's make some points about it. There is a name for what we have seen. Yes, this is code running shamelessly in production. It's acronym. The problem is that some client, paid for this code. So this is not only wrong from a coding point of view. In my opinion, this is unethical. This is unprofessional. It's not right to get paid for crap. Okay, so. And pay attention, don't confuse what we have seen with technical debt. Okay, this is not technical debt. Technical debt means that we defer some work or some optimization. And this is not deferred work. This is bad work. This is building with sand. In fact, indeed, this code broke the website. So quickly, no laws were abused during the writing of this code. As you can see, if we have to seek for a precise category, let's use what Magento offers. Let's save the category in the store config and let's access it directly. It's up to the store manager to change that category in the future. And don't even use a load to get that category. Category is an EAV entity, as you know, and loading that through a collection is much faster. We know the ID, so we know that if we filter the collection by its ID, we can get only one result. So let's set the page size to 1 and get the first item of the collection, and we have our category. And there is no need of doing strange things like exploding the string of IDs into an array and cycling the array. Magento already offers the proper methods to iterate the children categories. So let's use proper methods. Let's know how Magento works to do good work. And in the second chunk, again, we have no loads. We don't need any load. This is a strange piece of code. It extracts products into a category, then it extracts categories in which the product is contained. To show the link, don't focus on what it does. I repeat myself. And all of this can be done without loading, without really loading. So, some conclusions. First of all, by doing this refactoring and measuring the difference with a very useful tool, which is XHProf from Facebook Labs, we got a 10 times faster code. That means that we didn't have to use other tools, Varnish, Nginx, Opcode Cache. No, they don't have to be used to fix issues. They only have to be used to scale performance and to boost performance, not to fix issues, not to cover our wrong code, but only to improve. And you see, 10 times faster code on this small piece of code means 10 times less resources needed. That means less money, okay, to allocate on resources. And that's a good value for customer. And how could be sure to change code without breaking anything else? Simple. I did some tests. Testing, as Sarah told, gives us the confidence to change our code without fear of breaking anything. So let's do tests. Did I use some complex tools? No. I didn't need any complex tools here. You can start testing using your hands and your site. You don't need any complex tool. Well, to scale, you need to automate something. So I even didn't use any complex framework or tool. I use a tool which is available on any Unix distribution, which is diff. Diff compares two outputs, and I was refactoring a menu, so I simply compared the outputs of the previous code with my code. And when diff told me that there were no differences, I knew that my code worked. And after all, every test is a comparison between an actual result and expected result. So any testing framework and tool is a wrapper around this concept. Okay? So you can use more sophisticated tools and do TDD and BDD when you really need them. Don't overcomplicate your life. So this is my story. I have finished. I hope you liked it. Let's keep in touch. And if you like to get my book, I have reserved a special discount for you, for Mage attendees. Thank you. Bye-bye.